Thank you, Sarah, and hello, everyone. It's great to be with you again today. We've got some great sessions coming up over the next few days, and Suzanne Cain is here with us now to take us through just what we can expect. Suzanne is the Global Head of Distribution at Janus Henderson, also a member of the Executive Committee. So Suzanne, set the stage for us. What can we look forward to?
Thank you, Lucy, and I'm very excited to be able to kick off our third Global Media Conference. This year, we get a chance to welcome over 100 journalists from around the globe. And of course, we're going to be sharing our insights, our viewpoints from more than 50 different speakers. We've got some great investment leadership and leaders across the organization that are going to be speaking to everyone. The agenda for the next few days is very exciting for me. It allows us to highlight how, as a truly global asset manager, we have very relevant content and insights to share. We also felt it was very important to bring through the client voice. And as head of global distribution, that is very exciting for me. As the worlds get a lot more volatile and the central banks start to change policy, for example, topics like investing in fixed income, for example, in an inflationary environment, or the role of diversified alternatives in portfolios, I'm sure those are going to be two of the most well-attended talks. A couple other things that I'm really looking forward to in the agenda. For example, we did a panel discussion at COP26 highlighting our emerging markets debt team and our global national resources teams about the role that investors are actually going to play in decarbonizing emerging markets. It's very timely because we're about ready to launch a new thought leadership piece there. So that's one of the topics that I'm really looking forward to seeing. A couple more topics to mention, and one of them is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. We're going to be having a talk by our global head of portfolio construction and strategy about how to take a little bit more of a solutions approach to our clients' portfolios. And we're also going to have a talk by our head of compliance and risk. Georgina Fogo is going to join us to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I know how important this topic is for not only our firm, but also for the industry. I'm going to actually head a fireside chat on ETFs. There are a lot of ETFs out there, both passive and active. We play in the active sector. And this is going to be an important growth area for the market. And I'm sure our head of sales for ETFs is going to give us some great insight there. And our institutional sales folks are also going to talk about some of the trends with our world's largest pension funds. Lucy, one of the things that we did this year that I think the journalists are really going to find interesting is we've extended our index series. Everybody, I think, is very aware of the fact that we've had a global equity dividend index that garners lots and lots of attention. We've been doing this for over 8 years. But we're not just an equity house, we're a fixed income house as well. So we've added to that a corporate debt index, and we've also added to that a sovereign bond index. So the nice thing is we will look at what these indices actually tell us about the future of the markets in 2022. And the last topic I'll just mention that I'm really excited about, and of course, a global media conference would not be complete without talking about ESG and sustainability. We have a team with us that most people know have been groundbreaking and pioneering in this sector for over 30 years. So there's going to be a lot of discussion around ESG.
So Suzanne, what are some of the big discussions that you're having with clients at the moment?
So thank you, Lucy, and that's a very important question, and I think we have a lot to add. Distribution, of course, is voice of client for the firm. And 3 topics keep coming up in our discussion with clients the end of 2021 and into 22. The first, of course, is ESG. The second is the growing demand for alternatives or uncorrelated returns. And the last one is a little bit interesting. Clients are really asking us a lot about how they can access our products in a lot of different types of vehicles like ETFs, CITs, SMAs, and model portfolios. So the first with respect to ESG, it feels like almost on a daily basis, we're speaking to clients about the different regulations that the different regions are requiring of us. What are we doing around governance? How do we handle corporate engagement? And of course, the integration of ESG or ESG factors into our investment process. So we at Janus Henderson have a real strong belief that we give enough independence to our portfolio managers to use unique ESG approaches based on what is appropriate for their asset class or for their investment strategy. But four tenets that we have at Janus Henderson really hasn't changed, even though ESG has become the hot topic. Our investment portfolios are built with the aim of maximizing long-term risk-adjusted returns, but also the evaluation of ESG factors has always been a material component to achieving investment success. And that is part of being an active manager. Corporate engagement has always been vital to something that we do. And we believe a company promoting sustainable business practices will lead to better performance. And the last thing is we do give our investment teams enough freedom to interpret and to implement ESG factors along the way. But it has to be best suited to their asset class and to their investment objectives. So that's ESG. On the topic of alternatives, as the worlds get more volatile, as I mentioned, more and more clients are looking for non-traditional long-only ways to invest with us. And luckily, we have a good 10-year history. The work that we've done to build our alternative capabilities, it really means meeting client demands by moving down liquidity spectrums or moving into more concentrated or sectors. And lastly, just to comment a little bit about the vehicle, being product agnostic direction that we're moving in, we believe that if we have the product capability, that we should be able to deliver that to any client around the world in any format that might meet their client needs. So most notably, what you're going to hear from, and I mentioned the ETF talk that I'm going to do, is we're meeting clients with active ETFs. And I'm going to use an example of some model portfolio work that we did last year. So for example, we've got a $50 billion balanced franchise out of the US. And we had a distributor client in the US come to us and have us build a model that could tilt to either more growth or more conservative stance off of our big balanced franchise. So we were able to add thought leadership and some value add to access this new opportunity that was a $300 billion plus channel in the US. So lots of topics with clients, but those are the three that we've been talking about the most.
So Suzanne, where are you headed as a distribution organization, do you think, in 2022?
Yeah, and this is a topic that I get a lot with our clients. I mentioned that we're a 600-person proud distribution team, and we operate out of 27 different countries. 60% of those people are client-facing. So what we believe sort of sets us apart is our people, our global presence, and our focus and accountability to our clients. We've got a lot to be proud of. Where we started post-merger was to build a solid foundation, but we've been making a huge amount of significant progress towards growth. One of the things that I think most people realize about Janus Henderson coming together is we not only deal with some of the world's largest intermediary clients around the world, but also some of the largest and most sophisticated institutions as well. We're known for our people culture. People really like dealing with us. And we find that once a client actually invests with us, they come back for multiple mandates. And some of those mandates that I think are going to really resonate in 2022 is there's continued interest in our very long history in our core equity franchise. So the sustainable equity team that I mentioned that just celebrated its 30th anniversary is really well placed to meet our clients' demands. And we've just opened up vehicles all over the world for this celebrated team. The other thing I mentioned is sectors and themes. So our life sciences and biotech teams are really seeing a huge amount of global interest, particularly post-pandemic or while we're going through this new pandemic world. Technology teams, we've got two very large technology teams that are starting to move into some very exciting innovation themes and I know they're going to be talking over the next couple of days. Emerging markets, natural resources, I talked about the panel that we hosted at COP26, and fixed income. If the world gets more volatile, people are going to be looking for defensive ways to play the market. So we've got some very exciting things in strat bond. People are reaching for yield and high yield, and we've got some great absolute return strategies down in the short-term part of the fixed income curve. And the other thing that you're gonna see over the course of the week, and I mentioned I'm going to do a fireside chat on ETFs, is we're building a very innovative and distinctive ETF active platform. So one of the things that we did last year is launch 5 sustainable ETFs. And we think as a distribution organization, that's really going to set us apart from the competition. So with that, I'm really looking forward to, over the next 2 days, for Janice Henderson to connect with all of you journalists, and we're here to answer any and all questions after the fact.
There's some great sessions coming up. Thank you, Suzanne. Really good to hear from you. Well, let's get things underway with Enrique Chang, who is the Global Chief Investment Officer at Janice Henderson. He's hosting our first panel looking at investment themes in the year ahead. And as Suzanne just said, we'd really like to hear from you as well. So don't forget, we've got that Q&A box that you can send us your questions, and we'll attempt to answer them, get them to our panelists at the end of the session. I'll be moderating your questions then. So over to you, Enrique.